we again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, it's Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the win biz. The brand's gear, just plus the world's best quiz. Carbs, PWA. We're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your what's out shot for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.
Ben, have you awoken? Are you out of bed?
I just realised halfway through that intro, I've lost my lead. I'm running around. I'm right. Well, I've lost the lead, but I don't think I need the phone. Anyway, hello, welcome, morning for the first ever live podcast on the Windsurfing TV podcast channel. Yes, we are going solo. We have got our own channel just dedicated to podcasts. If you are tuning in, let us know in the comments, and please share this link, because obviously we're going to have less viewers on this channel, I would imagine, because it's obviously not got many subscribers. We haven't even hit 1,000 subscribers yet, but we've done well. I think we're up to like 800 and something, which I think is pretty good for
It's gonna take a bit of time, isn't it, to rebuild the audience? But anyway, they'll get there.
We are here. So just so we know what we're doing in this podcast, well, it's a good question, because we were meant to start at 8 and I was still asleep at 8. I don't mind saying I had a bit of a rough night with the baby, but I'm awake now. And we are ready. Paul Van Bellen, just tell them where you are.
Maui. Yeah, I made it. I made it to Maui, and it's something that somewhere I've wanted to go for since I was probably 13 years old. So it's been an interesting trip.
We need to talk about that, because I've just got to say, if there's people watching this and you are not, subscribe to Mr. Paul Van Bellen's YouTube channel, please subscribe, because if you are a keen windsurfer, especially for this series now, I mean, he's dropping good videos all the time anyway, but the videos he's doing now, I am sitting at home. I've been to Maui. I'm not a first timer, but I've watched his videos, and they're weirdly, I'm talking about this the other day with him. You're like, why am I watching 45 minutes of this bloke just walking around Maui, chatting to random pros, going to these places? It's quite addictive. And I've read the comments, and I know a lot of people feel the same way. So there's been a few things. If you haven't tuned into his YouTube channel, we're going to touch on it a bit in this episode, but I think there is a cool bit which I thought to myself, which I've asked you before, we should do a podcast on you and your backstory. But you actually covered it in one of the first ones, the videos you've done from Maui. Over it. But I think this is also interesting. So if you haven't heard that, I would suggest go and check it out. But he is in Maui for his first ever time, and the cool thing about Paul being there is, I was trying to explain it to someone the other day. So, you've got this pent up sort of like excitement. You've never been there. It's like kid in a candy shop. But the weird thing is, he is actually kind of infamous in this windsurfing scene. Obviously, he's done Fiji. He's done some amazing videos. But a lot of people don't probably know him that well, but they know of him. So he's got this kind of innocent, oh my God, who's this?
Very
but
innocent.
He's also got the access to go to these places and meet these people. But it's just mad. I actually really enjoyed watching the videos anyway. And you've just done a big one. Tell people at home what you've just done. Or did it go well?
Today, you mean? Or
well, you tell me what's coming.
Well, so thanks for that intro, Benny. It has been, well, I will first say it has been an amazing experience, because I've always wanted to go to Maui, but obviously through the YouTube channel, and I have met some of these pros over the years. All that combined, coming to Maui has given me a slightly different experience than I might have otherwise had. And today, I mean, it's been awesome. I've met all my heroes, all the sailors, everyone that's involved with windsurfing are all heroes, even though sometimes I might take the mickey out of stuff on my Instagram channel just for some fun. But today was an absolute bucket list item. In fact, I'll go as far to say that it was one, like, there's probably only a couple of things in my life where I'd be like, I have to do this before I die or something. You know, that's kind of a thing. And today was one of those. It was like from the age of, say, 13 to 18. I mean, even into my 20s. But basically,
how old are you now? Just to tell people.
Oh, yeah, 47.
Okay.
And when I was 13, it was 1990. I mean, Ben and I, we're the same age, so you know what those years were like. And 1990 was when Polakow, Jason Polakow, Australian, was just really going gangbusters in the windsurf world. All the magazines, videos, and the whole thing. And for me, he was my hero. Like, literally, Jason Polakow was just my hero. When I was growing up, I wanted to be Jason Polakow. I thought, wow, that'd be so cool. Go to Maui, become a pro, and in that sort of rock star windsurfing time. And it was just a part of my childhood. It wasn't so much just about Jason Polakow, but it was just a representation of windsurfing at that time. And he was kind of one of the rock star guys, and he was, ripping around on his strapper board and the single fin and throwing lots of spray and all that.
Changed the game, didn't he?
Yeah.
Changed.
Yeah. It was, and it was also a perception. He was the one putting out the videos, because before that, I don't seem to remember anyone putting out a video of just them. Like, there was a lot of compilations, Neil Pride, Gastro Sales, and all these sort of movies. But he was, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben. Maybe there was someone else, but I seem to remember that Jason Polakow was the first one to kind of bring out a video just on one sailor. It was just like KA1111. And I'm pretty sure from that's how Robbie Nash decided to make Rip, because he saw Polakow make his and thought, I want a Robbie Nash one. I remember hearing that rumor somewhere. I don't know, maybe you can tell me if that's true or not. But
it sounds correct.
Yeah. So
I mean, I heard rumors that the music rights for some of those videos was just insane, like insane. It cost an absolute fortune. But, looking back, those are still some of the most iconic songs, like the Rip video and the Polakow videos. Just, you listen to the tunes and who's done some of them stuff in those videos. Man, epic. Yeah.
No, they were actually really good soundtracks, weren't they? Anyway, I'm building all this up for what you can probably guess is the inevitable. But this morning, through my friend here, my new friend here, Andrew, who's hosting me. He knows JP well, and I was able to meet him. When Andrew dropped me off at his place, and I asked Jason if we could just spend a short amount of time together, and I could just do one of my casual, videos. So Jason, he doesn't know me very well. He had seen the strapper video I made, a year or two ago. So at least he knew that. But anyway, jumped in the car with Jason, and off we went. We drove up the North Shore, and I was asking him, questions about as much as I could think about, because it's tricky, isn't it? You meet your childhood hero, and you're just like, oh shit, where do I start? But I think I did a pretty good job of getting the sort of things that I wanted to chat about.
Karaoke.
Exactly. It's funny you should say that. I was actually thinking that, but minus the singing, obviously. But no, it was just super, super cool. It was so cool. I'm going to embarrass to admit this, Ben, but anyway, I probably deserve to embarrass myself after all the shit I've been giving everyone else. But Sarah Jackson, what happened? She sent me a message about something, whatever. She's the one that looks after social media with the PWA. And I rang her up about something. And then I said, look, hey, Sarah, this amazing thing happened. I met my childhood hero, blah, 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 relaying the story. And as I was telling her the story, I actually started kind of getting emotional. Like I started telling the story, and I actually started like tearing up. Because it's not because if I just met Jason Polakow without all that backstory, you're meeting another bloke, but it was because it's just because it's something about your childhood, my sort of growing up era that was so powerful at that time. And it just sort of hit me. I was like, holy shit, all that stuff. The back in those days where I was sitting, like I remember sitting in the classroom, looking out the window, watching the trees like blow around, and just wishing I was in Maui, you know, rather than Sydney in the suburbs, or like just all those kind of memories just kind of flooding back. And I was just like, wow, I'm actually here now with the bloke. Anyway, hopefully you can
understand.
Up.
Hang on.
Let me get the tissue, Benny. I know. Look, it's a God, Bertie. It's all right. Let it out, mate. No. But it's a bit funny. But it was kind of weird, and he ended up being a super nice bloke. The other thing.
Yeah, are you going to end this one? He was a total twat.
Oh,
no, he was a nice guy.
Total knobhead. They say never meet your heroes, right?
That would be great twist. Just met him, and he was an absolute man.
That's right. Yeah. No, look, I didn't obviously spend lots and lots of time. Yeah, I mean, he was cool, and there is a video. Obviously, I'm a bit backlogged. I've gone a bit backlogged. I went to Hot Sales Maui yesterday, which is interesting. I'm just trying to finish that video and get that one out, and then the JP one. And the other thing that was interesting about JP was, and I mean, it's I guess it should be obvious because the guy's in his early 50s now, and he's pretty super fit, and obviously at the top, he's still at the top of his game, in the sense of especially at his age. But I went to his place, and as I walked in, and I've got a bit of this on the film too, but he's making breakfast, and mate, he is. I thought I was a health nut. You go into he's got like shelves and shelves just full of vitamins, protein powders, like you name it. There's just like, it's like, like when you walk into a health food shop and there's just like everything you can think of. His kitchen is basically like a health food shop. He opens the fridge up. It's just like jars of hummuses and like alfalfa sprouts and like whatever. But it's cool because obviously, you're not going to be charging jaws at 51 eating Big Macs all day, are you? Jeez. I mean, it's just. Well,
I need to sort
what's
I need to sort my life out.
What's that?
I knew there was something. I keep saying in every video, my weight goes up by about a kilo every time I say my weight.
I know. Oh, but we're not Jason Polakow, are we? This is. I
saw you having the kimchi the other day, and I thought, Jesus.
Well, I'm trying to stay healthy because obviously I just, try to maximize. But I just ate a whole block of chocolate actually, so I'm pretty wired.
Polakow, like I say, you've dreamt of this moment. This is the big thing. Did anything? Was it all like normal? Did you think, this is kind of how I expected it, or was there other things like you say? It's quite interesting you say about that whole health food stuff because. People don't realize that, that these guys are Swift's the same. Swift's like a machine. They're still going fitness every day, and they're getting, 40s plus and they're getting older. But a lot of the guys are still charging, still doing it properly. I've gone off the other side of that wagon a long time ago, but still carrying on. But what else? I mean, personality wise, is he hyper as he was? Was he? Well, I guess you don't know what he was, but he was.
Yeah. I mean, I can only judge from the early videos, and obviously that you did get an impression that he was pretty full on and go. But you can definitely see that. I mean, he's pretty charged up, but it's I think everyone with age matures a bit and settles down somewhat. So I think you can sort of sense that that's there. But no, I mean, he's still full of beans. Like,
what car is he rocking? Yeah. He's got a truck.
It's a I'm pretty sure it was a Tacoma. Is it Toyota or Ford?
Oh, small one.
Is it a Ford or Toyota? God, it's a Ford Tacoma, isn't it?
I know he did have like a Tundra or whatever the thing was called.
Yeah. Oh, look. To be honest, it could be. Like they all kind of look similar to me, and I didn't pay 100% attention. But it's basically a fairly beefy, truck looking thing. I thought every second car here is a Tacoma, so I kind of thought it might have been. Oh, sorry. I'm just getting a message through from Andrew. It was a Raptor.
That's a Ford.
Thank you, Ed. Yeah. So the Raptors. Do you get them over there? Raptors?
Not. I mean, I think Maui or America get different ones to what we get.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Eco-friendly type of more ones.
But the Raptor is kind of like the sort of the high performancey kind of truck, the sort of cool one, I guess. Okay. So yeah, no, it was a cool car. Yeah, I met his wife. She was super nice. It was funny. Super nice. But a package turned up or whatever. She grabbed a box as I was there, and as I was talking to her, she's opening the box, and guess what's in there? Oh, more vitamins, just vitamins and pills, and all sorts of Oh, they're fully into it. It's cool though. Like I don't know. It's I didn't see him drinking too many Red Bulls. Let's put it that way. I didn't see him.
Well, I did tell you that story, like the liquid death one. Did I told? Must have told you that. There's like water in a can, and they've got all the adverts that go with it. It's pretty crazy adverts about how water kills more. Ends up it's just water, and it all came about because like these rock stars were drinking. Like there was some roadie guy who ended up setting up this liquid death company, but he was on the road with some like heavy metal band or whatever it was, and they were all drinking Monster, and he grabbed one to drink it, and he was like, water. And they were like, oh yeah, we're rehydrating on stage and all this, and he was like, oh, fuck no. And then he turned it into this company. Anyway, I just thought it was quite an interesting one that always the what's in the can, quite interesting. So what Maui got, and I was just going to say, competition I've just seen is on tomorrow for you, which will be probably tonight for us here in Europe, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. It's,
on the beach, how's it looking?
What the forecast or?
Yeah, what's the word on the street? Is it like, oh, is it exciting, or is it like, oh, it's not? Because it was absolutely like I was just looking at Instagram before we came on the podcast at some of the videos that people have dropped. Yeah, my God, it looks so good before the competition, didn't it? I saw that Rodiger video looked epic. I've seen obviously Pare's video, Brown. There's everyone. Camille was dropping some. Everyone. I saw everyone drop something that I thought, wow. Like, okay, Antoine Martin. I liked Antoine Martin one. He's been putting out some real cinematic, movies, which I like, but I like his more raw, crazy Antoine, like just letting it go a little bit. Like he always looks like when he drops those type of videos, he looks like he's just on the edge pushing, which I like that type of sailing as a windsurfer to watch, like I'm like, wow. Because you just know he's going for stuff which is not 100% dialed off, not the 100% easiest section. It just pushing, and I like to see that type of windsurfing.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that because for anyone who hasn't been to Hoa Keeper, I'm going to try to pronounce that.
You changed already.
Hoa Keeper. Yeah, Hoa Keeper. Anyway, out of respect to the locals, but there's a railing that's on the side of a bit of a hill where you park the car, and a lot of people sit there because you can see everything. And I was there. Was it today? Well, yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Speaking to Antoine Martin actually, and I said to him, "that latest clip I saw on Instagram was super sick. It's amazing. How do you do that and just not get injured? Because every crash I see of it, it's just like, it just looks. You know what I mean? It's just like anyone else would just be broken. And he said, well, actually, the day after that day, I woke up and I actually was really sore. And I said, but how do you anyway, I just said, how do you just keep doing that or whatever? And he said something interesting. He said, oh, some people came to me a little while ago and said, oh, Antoine, you're not pushing as hard as you used to or something,
Probably me.
Like, oh, okay. Oh, really? Oh, see. So you're egging him on. Yeah. And so, I think that sort of motivated him to go, oh, no, stuff you all. I'm still going for it. And that kind of what happened. But it's amazing. Some of the crashes I see, did you see that one where he kind of, I don't know, I can't exactly remember if it was a little aerial or some kind of cutback thing, but he gets pushed one way and then gets pushed the other.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Did you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, oh God,
I was
it's just.
looking through. I'm actually just looking now. Maybe we should play one for people who are
Oh
actually.
yeah. Can you pull that up? Because I'm sort of a bit.
I mean, there's so many. I'm just looking at this. I'm just looking on the P8 one because most of them they shared through.
Yeah. While you're looking for it, I'll just answer a couple of questions here on the side because Kev he says, "Hey PVB, how's the starboard tack down the line going?" Well, that's a funny one. So yeah, I'm hopeless on starboard tack in WA. It's all port tack. But I borrowed some gear from the Goya shop, and the first 2 days I went down to Kanaha. Oh, sorry, one was Kanaha, one here was at Sprex. So basically the North Shore, for anyone who doesn't know, for the most part, it sort of stretches from Kanaha, which is near the airport, and then goes to Hoakipa, unless include Jaws, which is a bit further. But that stretches probably like a I don't know, a 15-minute drive. It's or 20 minutes. It's a very short stretch. So you've got Kanaha, and then another spot just sort of past that is towards Hoakipa is Spreckersville. And I sailed one day Kanaha, one day it's Sprex, and I felt like a complete kook. It's weird. You think just going on a different tack that, okay, you just sail out and you jibe, but even it's just sailing out and, because the chop's coming in a different way than what you used to. And then you do a jibe and the whole thing just feels completely weird. Anyway, I was sort of getting the hang of it. And plus I'm on borrowed gear. So it's different gear than you used to. Plus the harness line was a bit longer. I'm making excuses, but you can get the picture, wrong tack, all the different gear, the whole thing. And then I thought, all right, I'm ready to, give a crack, the main stage. Well, so I went there yesterday, and unfortunately, the wind was probably, 12 to 15 knots. And I borrowed an 86-liter board, and I'm about 87 kilos, and it's 12 to 15 knots, and it was a bit onshore as well. And I saw one guy at the back just sitting in the water, just not even water starting, and I'm just like, oh God, like this is just not this. I'm going to end up just drifting down the lanes and probably get eaten by a shark or something. And anyway, so I was kind of like, I'll just sit this one out. I'm here for another 10, 12 days or whatever it is. Anyway, so then today, we drive past the beach because we had to go do something, and it was 15 to 20 knots. All right, sweet. This is it. Today's the day. Well, go down to the beach again. And for some reason, as soon as I turn up, 12 knots, 12 to 13, 14 knots. And I mean, I might have been able to get out, but it was so touch and go. And I was just like,
that's when you've got to put that GoPro on. Give us the gold, man.
Yeah, I know. Well,
that is an experience.
It's true. I was thinking it. However, if it was, like, to be honest with you, it wasn't really even doable. Like, if it was a 50-50 thing, I probably would have given a crack to it. To be honess with you, it just the wind was
board though.
Oh, the wind was so light, and I had the wrong board. Like the board is just, if you had I needed like a 92 or 93 because
99.
Exactly. I needed the fly wave, but yeah. I mean, look, I might be making excuses, but literally, like the pros, to put it in perspective, all the pros were on like 92, 95 liter boards at my weight. And they're better sailors than me. So
you need a bigger board.
It was not happening. But there's worse places to be hanging out. I was kind of, just chatting with people and catching up and sort of.
You're on the guardrail. You were one of the guardrail crew.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about people.
Yeah, and what I didn't know about the guardrail is, because exactly. There's quite a lot of bindies in the grass. That's kind of funny. I like wearing bare feet everywhere in Australia, and that's kind of funny. Everyone walks around in sandals and stuff. And I thought, I'm going barefoot, and end up just jabbing myself.
You know what? They're like, for people who don't know, I guess what you're talking about is those big spiky mothers that and they're like an inch long.
Well, no, these ones aren't even that long. They're just like little ones, but they just, sometimes there's patches of them. And
you've been to Kanaha. Surely you must have got one of those massive twigs. They're like the twigs.
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
They're like old medieval weaponry. And I heard a story. And if I've been told an absolute lie here, whatever. I just got told this when I went to Maui. They said it was the English that came to Hawaii and then they didn't want the locals to walk around in barefoot. So to put them in their shoes, they planted all these trees. And I was like, that doesn't sound very nice.
Yeah,
but like, it's your fault. And I'm going through Kanaha like, Jesus Christ, because they are literally.
Yeah. There's little things like that you don't remember seeing on the windsurf videos from the 90s.
People walking down. Like, honestly, my first one in Maui, I was so excited. I watched the whole video. It's like Kanaha, it's all grassy. Like,
yeah.
Like,
Well,
half running and then.
Yeah. I mean, look, most of it's fine. It's not like it's everywhere, but you just have to be a bit aware of where you're walking or whatever. But Kanaha is actually really nice, isn't it? I mean, the whole look, Maui. It's been interesting because for anyone who hasn't been here, obviously this is my first time, and it does live up. I mean, it's slightly different. Like, you have this image in your head, and I'd say 80 to 90% of that image is real. And there's like this sort of 10% that is like, oh, I didn't know about that or didn't think, you know what I mean? Like, obviously when you go somewhere, you're always seeing things that you don't think about or see in a video or something. But I can understand why Maui is kind of like the windsurf center. It's got the combination of like multiple different conditions in a very short space, and just, it just, I mean, look, warm weather, warm water, very consistent. Like I woke up this morning, it was like 0 knots. And I thought, there's going to be no wind today. And then I went back into my room and I walked out an hour or two later and it's blowing 20 knots out the front. It's just like every day is wind. But the problem is I've realized I need to, as soon as the wind gets, you've got to get out, because it was blowing kind of strongish early. And I thought I'll go in an hour or two, but then an hour or two, it turned into 12 knots. That happens too, right?
You can't go before 11 in theory.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But you see, I'm used to in Geraldton that it'll be 20 knots at 12 o'clock and it'll be 30 knots at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Here, it doesn't quite work that way. It could be windy or like at any time. Or,
no, it's true.
I mean? Yeah.
Very true.
But anyway,
and that is the mad thing. What I found when I went to Maui, my first time I went to Maui, I went for 6 weeks. It was like 2000, sort of stuff, like 25 years ago or something. Jesus.
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks. First 2 weeks was wind every day, pump. I was like, oh my God, this is just. And then we had 2 weeks of nothing. And you can't drive anywhere. It's not like Cape Town where the forecast has moved and you drive 2 hours up the road. You can't. You've got no wind for 2 weeks. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. And then we had 2 weeks of wind. So I was like, oh. And it's weird when it's windy, you just don't see it. It's like Pozo. You don't see it ever being no wind ever again. You're like, wow. You get very comfortable with that. But it can obviously disappear. But when it's in, when the trade winds are in, coming. Just keeps coming. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen the best of Maui, that's for sure, because it's been a bit sort of up and down with the winds and all that sort of thing. But it's also been good because it's allowed me to go out and visit the shops and different people. Oh, another one today, talking about meeting people. I met Graham Ezzy as well. Yeah. We
ex-sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was. I had to apologize to him that I'm not on Ezzy anymore, but he seemed to take it very well. But basically, he picked me up and we actually were going to go sailing together. But that's when I arrived at the beach and, just didn't have, the right gear. But he went out on his big board. I can't remember whatever it was. Oh, he was on a 95 liter.
Yeah.
He was on a 95 liter. And he was sort of struggling as well. So I was actually glad I didn't go out. It just wouldn't have happened. I just literally would not have thrown a sail. But it was super cool hanging out with Graham. Like, that's the other thing too, is, you see these people online or, the odd interview here and there. But of course, when you hang out with someone, it's a different experience. And he ended up being a super nice guy. And he took me to his, he's got like a plot of land that he's building essentially it's kind of like almost like a tiny home type thing.
Yeah.
And it was super nice. I mean, that's when you go on a trip overseas, there's nothing better than meeting a local and letting them show you where they live or something that's important to them in the area. And so he took me there, and awesome place. It's got like a view over the sort of water, basically the water and everything. And look, it's just been super interesting. And also, I mean, yeah, the weird thing about Maui is it's so many of those famous windsurfer guys or women or whatever. They're all just here in this tight packed area. It's kind of
that's the mad thing.
Yeah,
isn't
it's just weird. They're just all there. Like, I rocked up at the beach the other day and I turned my head and there's Robbie Nash just beach starting and sailing on. That's bloody Robbie Nash. Like, sometimes I've said it in one of my videos, I think, but it actually feels, sometimes I feel like I'm in a movie set and they're all actors. And it's kind of like, is that really Robbie Nash just sailing off there? Like, or is that just some actor guy? Because it's just weird. It almost doesn't seem real, kind of real. But it takes some of the mystique away, because when you're seeing things through a video, there's that kind of Hollywood sense that, it's always, everything's a bit sort of out of reach. But then when you're actually here, you're like, oh yeah, this is like just life for these people. But everyone else outside of the world has been viewing Maui through this kind of like this, as if like the Truman Show or something. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, does that make sense?
Totally. It's exactly what, because we are fans of windsurfing. So you're seeing these guys like some people would see Taylor Swift or something like this. You know what I mean? You don't think you're ever going to meet them, or in windsurfing it's way closer. So like you say, when you go to Maui, it's like some massive, for some pop star fans, every one of them being in one place, all chatting to each other and having a laugh, and you just like, hello. And they actually go, oh yeah, how's it going? Do you want to come for a coffee? You're like, hang on a minute, this is a bit weird.
Yeah.
It is kind of like that. It is.
And look, the other thing too is, think about sports that are, I mean, obviously windsurfing's a relatively small scheme of things, but if you think about, I don't know, football, Formula One, tennis, I don't know, these kind of sports. I mean, you're not going to go to Wimbledon and be sort of hanging out with Federer, and Rafa, Nadal, and at the cafe or something. Yeah. Or I mean, you might, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's everything's just kind of like they're shuffled away into the VIP areas or something like that. Whereas it was here, we're all equal. Whether you're learning
hang on, that's not entirely true. I have heard there is a VIP area.
Well, that's true. Actually, there is. Shit, it's funny you should say that.
Are you in that?
Holy shit!
Are you allowed in?
Okay, sorry. How did I forget that, Benny? Sorry. Yeah, this is a good segue, isn't it? So apparently, well, before I get into this, I just want to finish this train of thought. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're hanging down the beach and all your heroes, everyone's just there around you. And that's the super cool thing about windsurfing. And what Benny's talking about is that I'm yet to see it, but apparently the setup down at the beach, which hasn't been set up yet. I think tomorrow morning it's all set up. Okay. There's a VIP area, which I've got no idea.
Down on the peasants.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, I'm looking forward to being invited into there and basically just hurling abuse at everyone that walks past. So, no. No, I don't even know what's going on there.
I mean,
I'll be too busy, probably just flying the drone and trying to get good shots for you guys. So,
I mean, to be fair, like the Hookeeper is a VIP area anyway, isn't it? Like the way it's set up, it is like Margaret River. Did it remind you of Margaret River at all, or in fact, like the opposite way around? Like you're on the top.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, some similarities. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's
so for people who tune in, Maui Aloha Classic starts tomorrow. We're not sure what they're going to start with. There was talk in the early stuff about starting with masters and stuff, but that can change very quickly. Bujmar, for everyone who doesn't know, is the head judge. So Bujmar is making the calls, and they are going to crown the world title in the men and in the women for 2024. Which is the unified tour between the IWT and PWA. This is the last competition. Marsilio Brown is coming into this competition in top place. I mean, he's just won it 2 years on the row, is it? Yeah. Back-to-back titles. Going for the third, which would be massive if Brown can do it. And he's already leading. So that's looking pretty good. But as we know, and we've just seen it in Tyree, and any competition where there's no jumping and it's just riding, you can see upsets. No matter how good you are, no matter how consistent you are, there is so many good riders, and especially in Maui, you've got so many wild cards. I mean, just look at the video from Lenny that he's been, dropping. The guy is on an, insane level right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Van has won there before and won competitions all over the place. Antoine Martin looks fired up, Mark Paré coming back from injury, spent a lot of time in Maui and looks like he's in good form. I've heard his name mentioned. Morgan Nero, looking good. Victor's been consistent all year, needs a good performance. There's so many guys. Swift. You could literally go down the list. And so many guys, and even the guys that we're not probably talk about, could still get 2 set waves, go for broke, and cause massive upsets. Because when you're the one that should win, and maybe it's inconsistent. Maybe there's only a couple of set waves in the heat. If you mess one of those waves up, you're opening the door. So you can't hold back, but you have more to lose. So it's going to be very exciting. In the women, Sarah Kita has won back-to-back Wave World titles coming into Aloha Classic. She's not leading. She didn't go to, was it Chile? So she's missed one of the big events. So she needs Maui to count, and she will need, I guess, Lena Erpstein to be a bit further back. But Sarah has obviously won in Maui before, but she's got to deliver. And she's got to hope maybe someone else doesn't deliver as good, because I think if Lena does well, she can't take the world title from her. So, and then you've obviously got wildcards, Hauser and so on, who can cause upsets in the overalls as well. Because a lot of people, and I read it before, people are going for the win at the Aloha Classic. It's like the world title is one thing, but winning the Aloha Classic is massive. Whatever happens in the year, Bernd Rodiger, he's already won one competition in Japan. He could easily win in Maui.
Oh, yeah.
Totally changes but they want to win. There's so many people. Like I said, I'm going to miss some out, and it's not because I don't think they're good. It's just there's so many people, and I've seen so many videos from that epic stuff we had before the comp, and we were all hoping we'd get that for the comp. It doesn't look like we're going to get it as good as that, but it looks like it's going to be pretty solid, and it could be fun size, big for most normal people, but for these guys, it will be playable. You will see big maneuvers. In saying that, 2 meters and 12 seconds, 30 seconds in Maui that's a pretty decent size, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, like to give you an example,
12, 13 seconds.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of experience here because I've only got here about 4 or 5 days ago. But to give you an example, today officially it said it was 1.2 meters and 8 seconds. But it was, for local standards, quite small, but it was consistently head high. And I did see the odd logo sort of one sneak through. So, and that's 1.2. So tomorrow, and 8 seconds. The period. Yeah. Sorry, the period of 8-7 seconds.
As soon as you get that 13 second that we see on Friday with 1.9, in my experience of Maui, I'm like, ooh, there's going to be a bit of swell around. But the wind, not super windy, but still the right direction, which is
but the wind will probably be enough, because here, look, I found Wind Guru, to be honest, not the most reliable source. It can be a bit all over the place, but waves are not going to really be a problem. It's not going to be ginormous, but I think like if this holds true, we're talking like there's mast high sets in that. Easy, Well, yeah, but I don't know if this holds up, it'll be okay, because I was sailing today and it's showing 15 here and 18 here.
It's not jumping.
Oh yeah, that's okay. But okay, no jumping. But the wave riding will be pretty sick, won't it? It'll be kind of smooth look, anyway, this is the forecast tomorrow. I think they decide to hold it because there is a bit more wind forecast, and the waves will be definitely decent. Friday, similar conditions with increasing period. Saturday, Saturday's looking pretty good all day. Obviously, the winds, the bit of a question mark, but it still looks enough. And then Sunday, it starts to drop off a bit. Here,
comes through,
the wind comes through. I'm not sure.
How many days can it be? Did I read 5?
Yeah, they've got. I think they're allowed up to 5 completable days. This one's a weird one too, isn't it? Now we've got strong winds with a relatively low period. But
are you still there then?
Yeah, well, I'm staying here till the 4th.
So you're going to get some good sailing, because that's probably pretty fun in terms of normal sailing.
Well, yeah, fun is in how big's that going to be?
Yeah, but it's a low period. You never know, because sometimes wind guru supersedes that. If the wind wave, I think, on Wingaroo is bigger than the big swell. It kind of shows it more than the other swell, which doesn't quite work in Maui. So it's not always easy to see, but it looks more like when it's windy, it's more a wind swell. But maybe you need to check another forecast for that. Yeah,
and look, I guess the beauty here is if you go to Ho'okipa and it's just out of your league, you just go down to one of the other reefs anyway. So yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to this period of wind for sure, because it has been on the lighter side. So yeah, but anyway, that's the forecast for.
Looks good.
Yeah.
I'm just going to play this just while we're here, because look at this. Is that working?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. So that was the other day. Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Double goiters, like. This is Antoine Martin. For people listening audio only, like push loop off the lip, but massive, gets absolutely spanked on that. Got smacked.
Yeah. Oh, there's been so many broken masts and gear. I heard, I think it was maybe Takuma or one of the Japanese guys broke 3 or 4 masts in one session.
Yeah. When you're pushing, when the boys are pushing, it's carnage. That double goiter really gets it.
Yeah, where's that wave that I was talking about before he gets that sort of double hit? Has it come up?
I think it was the other one.
Oh, it's a different clip, is it? Yeah.
No, I think it's come. I think it's.
This one
before, but.
Oh,
that's almost like a grubby off the lip, like an egg. Jesus.
Holy shit!
See, I like this type of video. This is. I love to see this when they're pushing past where Oof. Oh mate, I mean some like this.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah.
I think it was that one, wasn't it? Yeah, he kind of has that double.
Pretty insane that.
Yeah, no, Antoine's he always brings excitement to it, doesn't he?
That's what I like to see. There was when you see the clips and everything's perfect and you're like, oh yeah, you want to see whatever level the guy's at, and I've realized this, it doesn't matter the level, but when people are pushing past, where it's comfortable, it always looks exciting.
That's true.
A few guys who I know when I go to Pozo, when I've been to Maui before, your camera is drawn to. It's just impossible not to see them because they go faster. So you see them sailing, and they instantly stand out because they're moving faster, and it is interesting. Like you are drawn to the fastest guy underwater, the guy we used to call it like ferreting around, like hunting, they're always looking like, you kind of get this, oh my God, this guy's going to do something. And you see other guys or girls or whoever, and you think, they're not going to do anything. And then you see the girls or the guys, whoever it is, just, they look. It's hard to explain to somebody. It's like, what do you mean? Somebody who's never filmed windsurfing and they're asking you questions like, the guy who looks like he's going to do something. Like, what do you mean? It looks like they're going to do something. But you, as a windsurfer, you can just tell. You're like, this something's going to happen.
Yeah. And that's actually, it's cool. That's one of the good things about coming to a place like Maui, because you can sit on the beach, especially when all the pros are out, and there's always something going on. You're never going to go to a spot where you see more action, really.
No.
Than here.
And you can get drawn into that. The Ho'okipa guardrail can draw you in, and you could quite happily go every day and watch, and it would be entertaining enough.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It is a cool setup. The other thing too, I bet that surprised me. I mean, it shouldn't have surprised me, but that rocks, the infamous rocks. I don't know. Sometimes you see a video and you think, oh, that's not too bad. It kind of looks, far enough away. But depending on the swell direction, like today, it was coming a fair bit from the northeast, I believe, and the wave breaks a bit wider or something. And it actually pretty much you're riding it right in front of you sort of ride past the rocks actually.
Yeah. It's smaller as well. When it's smaller.
Oh, of course. Yeah. When it's smaller. Yeah.
Way closer, and you think, Jesus, you're literally on them. Like.
Yeah. It was a bit. Yeah. It was just surprising. Looking from the beach, it's like, oh wow, they're actually. It's just something I hadn't quite seen in the videos. Because the other thing too is usually when you're seeing a video from the beach, it's always when it's a bit bigger, because that's the more spectacular. You're not always seeing the sort of smaller days, or you know what I mean, like that kind of thing.
Did you see the little bit upwind where you can kind of come in, and then most people come in and tack right It's like
next to the rock.
Next to the rock, but it's
Yeah.
upwind of the rock. There's no current there.
Yeah.
Water, but it looks weird. Like when you're sailing it, you're thinking, is this normal to do this?
Yeah, well, because I haven't sailed there yet, I saw a few. I saw Robbie just like literally hug those rocks and do a tack. But I was looking at it thinking, yeah, but if you fall in there, you stuff your tack up. Is there enough wind to even water start? It looks like a bit of a wind.
The thing is, it doesn't matter because there's just no current. Like
okay.
So you can't
just sit there
pushed on the rocks. It's like you just sit there until a bit more wind comes.
Interesting.
Whereas if you tack earlier than that, you can get washed straight on the rocks. Like it's
okay.
Kind of like the safety zone, let's say.
Yeah. I also actually, this is something that's worth mentioning for anyone that's going to come to this beach. But I was filming Graham Ezzy, today, and I followed him into the water, like basically just following him as he's beach starting, and he beach starts, and then I just literally take a few steps back as like out of the water because there's like a bit of a shorey just dumping. So I kind of just step back about 2 meters from the waterline back onto the beach. It's quite a tight, small area. I heard this lady just screaming behind me, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" Like, I'm just like, what is going on? Do you know what's coming, Ben, or not?
I can have a guess.
What's that?
Well, it's not the seal, is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like basically, I turn around, and I mean I wasn't stepping on its head, but I was probably I don't know, like I was probably at least 5 meters, 6 meters from it. So like enough. But there's a massive monk seal, I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it's kind of like I don't know. The story I heard is there was a mama monk seal, and that passed on, and this is the new generation, and it sits there because if it goes in the water too much, it's probably likely to get eaten by a shark because it can't really look after itself or something. And they've got on the beach, they actually have markers that are placed sort of in a perimeter around the thing with little signs on it saying, don't get close to the monk or thing. Like it's got like this image of like a human and the monk seal and just like a big cross. And anyway, I was freaking out because the way she was screaming at me,
the mad
get out. I'm just like, oh my God.
That's their job.
Yeah. She had this T-shirt on. She had a T-shirt on, which it's like a volunteer. And look, I respect
it's a volunteer thing. I thought they were paid.
Well, actually, you could be. Maybe it is. And I do respect the fact that to respect the animals. I'm not knocking the thing, but it just was a bit weird. And coming from Australia, I mean, like coming from Australia where you can literally just be like there's freaking snakes and like spiders and sharks everywhere, and like you're just going, oh yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of funny. But
no, I genuinely, I was actually, when you said what's coming, I was thinking, and I was actually my first thought was which sailor would be screaming at him for being in the way, and I was like, and then I thought, fuck, I can't say a sailor, I'm going to get in trouble here. And then actually my brain just went to when I was in Maui. It was a dude who was screaming at me. There was this guy, and he was going mental. I had the only experience I had like this was at the airport when I stepped over the line with some guy. Anyway, that's another story. But he going absolutely mental. I was nowhere near the bloody thing. I was just walking down the beach. I actually didn't even see the seal because it looked like a rock. Like it's a big.
That's the thing. You could easily just, if you're not paying attention, you could just think, "Oh, I'll just jump on this rock or something." But
he was like sticking his things in because he's just got there or something, and I was just minding my own business, walking down the beach. Which
But to be fair to this lady, it was actually probably cool that she did just say something, because I could have easily just kept walking backwards without and just literally just got my leg chewed off. So it was just funny. It was just, so if you look,
did it not worry you that what you just said, like, oh yeah, well they're worried about him getting eaten by a shark. Maybe he's on the beach because there's a big shark.
Well, that's a very good point, actually. I'm sort of like, well, wouldn't you rather? Maybe we should put him out there rather than us get eaten. No, that's a bit cruel, isn't it? But no. Look, I don't know. It's cool. I think it's it's cool that they're looking after it. The other thing that was interesting about the experience is there's a lifeguard tower right there. And I sat up there a few times chatting with the lifeguards. They're basically surfers. They don't the ones I've met aren't windsurfers, and they don't really know much about windsurfing. So I was sitting there and having a good chin wag. Just asking questions like, "Oh, how much does a board cost? How much is the sail? Just whatever, just general questions. People who don't windsurf, but it's interesting because they're sitting in this office, literally with just panoramic view of the best windsurf wave, or the most famous windsurf wave in the world, watching people just do goiters every 3 seconds, but they really know nothing about it. Like, I mean, that might seem, you know what I mean? Like, it's
but they've probably
it's
got
a
a
bit,
warped idea of what normal windsurfing is.
oh, that's
You know,
right. Exactly. Yeah. It's all these little details that make an experience, isn't it? And it's not obvious when you're just watching an Insta clip or YouTube.
Have you heard the call yet? The infamous call where he goes, "Kite surfer, go down to lanes." Basically, just piss off, because there's obviously a hierarchy, which is the surfers are at the top. If they're out and there's too many surfers out, no windsurfers are allowed out. I can't remember, what is it? Is it 10-man rule? It's like 10-man rule.
Yeah,
is in effect. Go down to lanes. So if there's more than 10 surfers, I think it's something like this, you have to go sail lanes. Yeah. And then the same with the kite surfers. If there's, it could even be 5 windsurfers, and then the kite surfer has to go down to lanes. But it's quite nice as a windsurfer. You're like, get back in your freaking home, mate.
No, it is cool to see. That was another thing too, which they've got this 10 surfer rule, but it's pretty crowded at pavilions. Pavilions is at the other end of the beach, where that's also a nice surf break there. But the surfers also want to surf. I mean, I'm not telling you, Ben, because you know this. I'm sort of telling everyone else. But on the main break there, it's actually a more punchy, powerful wave than at pavilions. So the better surfers actually want to surf there. But when it's windy, it's quite choppy for them, so they don't go there. But as soon as the wind gets into that marginal territory, 12, 15 knots, then they start paddling out. So then you have this period that I noticed, I don't know, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., that kind of time frame where, you've got 10, 15 windsurfers out there, but then there's now 5 or 6, 7, not the 10 that you need, but that kind of middle ground. And then all of a sudden surfers are dropping in and sailors, and so, there's that kind of middle ground. So that was something also a little bit unexpected. I didn't fully grasp that, the fact that
also over the years, I mean, it's probably quite a few years now, but when the sort of air game come into surfing, you've got like some of the best aerialists coming from Maui because of the wind. So they actually liked the wind for a bit. So you've got Matt Miola and Avilea and all these guys, and like they just, some of the best guys in the world are all coming out of Maui because of the wind, because then they can get more height, keeps the board on the feet. So then there's been this crossover, I guess. But these guys, I really think Kai Lenny is the guy who puts them together. Like it's quite cool to see like Kai Lenny drop that clip the other day. Obviously it was epic sailing, but what's more epic is he's got such a good following from surfing and from all the other backgrounds. And then when you read through the comments, because I am someone who reads comments, I love a bit of comment.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
And you see some of the comments from non-windsurfers going, that's quite nice to see as a windsurfer, because you do get that respect where they probably wouldn't be looking at that stuff, but because they follow Kai, they see all this. And it is pretty impressive. Like obviously Kai was, a windsurfer from the early days, and then he's mixed it up into every different sport, but still keeping his hand in. But it's amazing how his level hasn't dropped off. And I think we touched on it on the other podcast. I was saying, I watched this video about, if you've got a child and you want them to be the best footballer, if you just get them to play football from the early age, it's not the best thing to do, because yes, they will have an advantage because they're like the first mover. But actually, in the end, it's been proven scientifically that actually it's not good. You need to be doing lots of other things. And then you put that into perspective with like watermen, let's say like Kai Lenny, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Like picking up all these other skills and everything, you're not necessarily losing, you're not dropping behind. After a certain level, it's kind of interesting. So we all need to do lots more stuff.
Oh no, definitely. All those skills translate over, don't they, to different things.
I have a question. Well, someone else has a question, because it is interesting and I think it's worthwhile. You obviously been in Maui, just heard the stories. Paul, at first glance, could you live on Maui?
Well, I'll tell you one thing: the women are better looking than Geraldine. That's
It's all them vitamins.
so.
Not
no,
pies, not
no,
sausage
no.
rolls and steak and kidney pies or whatever.
And sorry if there's any women listening from Geraldine, there's an exception. But no, okay, that's a bit cruel. But no, but you know, it's
true though.
Look, could I? Yeah, I mean, it's could I live here? Oh, look, yeah, I mean, you could live here for sure. I mean, I mean, there's lots of places in the world I could live, but yeah, I mean, it's okay. Sorry, I'll just get a moment to think about this. It's obviously a beautiful.
You've not thought
place.
about it then? Interesting.
No. Oh, well, the thing is, I haven't seriously because I live in Geraldine, so I mean, I'm not sort of actually planning on moving here or anything. But yeah, I guess like you could easily live here. I think there's a few things that I've noticed here. Real estate is expensive. Real estate's very expensive, so you kind of either need to bring some money with you, or think about how you're going to survive with the cost of living. Like it's expensive. Like all the groceries are, well, I mean, they're double pretty much Australia, just about. And someone was telling me on the beach that they went to the groceries and thought it was triple what it was in Germany. Oh, actually, Graham Ezzy said that. He reckons, so there's that aspect.
Especially for healthy stuff. If you go to Costco and you buy all the whatever.
Yeah, well, I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
Cheap,
yeah.
Definitely not as. There's a lot of sugar in nearly everything in America. Maybe I'm wrong in saying America's full of sugar, but every time I went there, the bread, it just tastes. I'm like, they put sugar in the bread? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, you can get a huge variety of foods. I've just been going to Manor. Is it Manor Foods? Yeah. Yeah, and that's obviously like a pretty premium sort of health style supermarket. But yeah, look, so real estate's expensive. And that includes, I guess, rentals, your food, and so forth. But look, it's an interesting one because it is like a paradise. It's compact. You can get around easily, which is, I think, is a huge plus. I do think if you're living on an island, like ideally, you would live part-time here. I don't know if you'd want to be like 12 months of the year on year, because it is an island and it's a bubble. Like you're on like a little bubble, and I think you kind of. You sort of almost lose a bit of touch with the outside world, and you know what I mean. Like it is a bit of a bubble like that, isn't it? So I think if you could be here for 3-6 months or whatever it is, and then you could get off the island and just get something else, that would be pretty cool. I think. Yeah, look, it is cool. I think it's also the US. Love it or loathe. I mean, loathe, that's maybe a strong word, but it's a US culture as well. Coming from Australia, and like you're sort of the UK, so there's that cultural element too. They're just done a bit different, and that kind of thing, isn't it? I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of. Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Like but I mean, it's cool. Like there's lots of nice people in Maui, and I've been to Oahu as well, and Maui certainly has a chiller vibe. Maui. What's that?
You've been tipping?
Oh yeah, tipping's painful, isn't it? So you go to a menu, and the meal's $20 or US, but it's actually $24. You have to give a 20% tip.
20% is mad. When you're not you're like, because you look at sometimes you look at, when I was there, I used to look at the price and think, that's not bad. But you've got to add 20%, because if you don't do 20%, you literally get like, well, they can say something. It's not beyond the realms of possibility where they call you out. Like,
yeah. I don't even think it's an option to not tip. Really, it's just expected, and yeah.
But to me, do you not think this is a whole new subject? But do you not think they should just add it to the food? Like, I would much prefer it to me if that's what we've got to do. Just add it to the food. Like, I agree
actually, because it's kind of like
if you've gone above and beyond what was expected. Then I might give you a tip, because I'm like, that's a tip. It's like, oh, thanks. That was that was better than my usual experience. But to me, if they're relying on it, I think just add it to the food. Just add it, and then I'll pay the extra if I think it's warranted. Like,
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, just going back to the original question, could I live here? Actually, one of the things that I love, or I've been loving, is just meeting some really cool people. Like, for example, yesterday I hang out with Bant Rodiger, and I mean, for some reason we get along really well. I'm a bit kooky. I mean, he's a bit sort of, he's a little bit kooky as well, but I just gel with the bloke. I just easily hang out with him, and I think we have just a mutual understanding that it's cool. And I'll miss those kind of things when I go back to Australia, because in Australia, the culture, well, especially in Geraldton, lots of nice people, but it is quite monocultured in a lot of ways. It's just like you're an Aussie, and Aussies drink beer and love their football. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a bit like that.
Yeah.
And but in Maui, there's quite a lot of variety of people. It's colorful. There's just colorful kind of people, and there's a whole variety, and that's refreshing. I do like that. And yeah, with the windsurf community too, there's a lot of windsurfers, so you're all sharing that passion, and therefore that brings you together, and it feels like you're in a bit of a you're in like a community of like-minded people or something like that. Whereas my experience in Australia is you really got to sort of find them a bit, because they're a bit more scattered around. Whereas here it's a bit more intensive. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but anyway, look, it's been super cool. It's a great place, anyway, I can see what is. I will say other thing. I also do have a renewed appreciation for back home too. Back home being Geraldton, because one of the things I noticed when I went sailing, and maybe it's just I haven't experienced Maui at its best, but there was one day where the wind was strong. I was on a 4.5 and I was planing around quite easily. But the wind, even though the wind is great, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. But compared to the wind in Geraldton, I realized that the wind in Geraldton is actually a really steady. It's like a solid wind. It's just like, and like sometimes you can look at the graph at the end of the day, and it's hardly like going up or down a knot. Like it's just this line that goes across. So I thought, oh wow, we're actually quite fortunate there too. We've got this nice. I mean, not always, but you know what I mean. When it's in, it's in, and
it's solid. I spent 5 years in Australia. Coronation, Arloon, all around, and then I went to Cape Town after about 5 years.
Yeah.
The difference was insane, because I did a little bit in Australia, and then I basically flew to Cape Town, and that was eye-opening, because when you spend a lot of time in Cape Town, you just get used to it. You just get used to it. It's like here in Portugal, it's fucking gusty, but you get used to it. And you just deal with it. But when you come from Coronation, for example, which is like, if it's 4.7 weather, it's 4.7 weather, and it's pretty solid. I go to Cape Town, first trip out, my arms after I was and I never remembered that. I spent 10 years before that in Cape Town. Never even thought about it. But going from Oz to Cape Town, it is just hellish gusty.
Yeah, wow.
And you just get used to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And look, I'm just picky. It's pretty nitpicky, because I'm not complaining about Maui. It's super good. Don't get me wrong. But it was just something that I realized. Oh, it's the wind in Gero is pretty good. It's really it's cool. But I don't know. It's but Geraldton is a lot less culturally diverse and kind of interesting in that sense than Maui, because it's just got a lot more color and so forth. But yeah, I don't know. It's. Yeah, every place in the world has their pros and cons, and there's different things. But Maui's cool. If you've got money, and you can have a fantastic life here. But if you don't have any money, then it's tough. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like that's basically the reality of it. Yeah. So it's it's good. It's pretty cool. So been a great experience, mate.
Good to hear. Like I said, and we've done this catch up. Usually we do this on the phone, and then we talk for like an hour or whatever. Then we go, shit, we should have done a podcast with that. So I hope you've enjoyed that. That's like a phone call with me and Paul just heard. But yeah, if you are tuning in now, this isn't Windsurfing TV. This is a Windsurfing TV podcast channel. So if you're watching and you've stumbled across it, subscribe to the channel, because if you're into podcasts, if you're not into podcasts, do not subscribe. Don't bother. We kind of want the hardcore people that want to listen to podcasts, maybe listen to it at work. And you can obviously listen on Spotify as well. I had the audio only on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. After this goes live, we're going to be doing some Mat Check podcasts. I think that's the rumor. We might be doing some interview stuff. And as I've already said, subscribe to Paul Van Bellen's one, because if you're interested in Maui, if you've never been, or you've been, you can kind of relive your footsteps. If you've never been, it's kind of an interesting stuff. And then obviously the Polakow interview, car karaoke style interview by the sounds of it. I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Yeah, oh, it's cool.
In a few days, I guess, but you're going to be busy, so
yeah, I know. I'll try. It's now 20 to 11 p.m. I'm supposed to be at the beach tomorrow at 9 a.m. and I've been trying hard to get edits out. Like, literally, I haven't really stopped. Every moment I have is either editing or going to the supermarket or doing whatever I can to.
Well, it's definitely appreciated. I've enjoyed watching it because there's a few people who I haven't caught up with for ages. Adam Lewis was one of them. So it's it. And then Nick Hibbage, I thought Nick's been over there for a year and a bit now or something. And again, those two are like, that's it. It looks like they're set now. So the English boys. Have you met Dan Ellis yet? Maybe he's not. Maybe he's in Disney.
No, I don't think so. No.
There's a couple of the English boys out there, which is quite
cool. Adam. It was cool meeting Adam Lewis. He always came across in the videos as just a really cool guy or something, and the reality was the same. He was. Yeah, it was interesting, visiting all these guys. Pascal, he was cool, the guy behind the desk, and I liked him.
He goes out like a 2-meter sail, and everyone's on, or he's 3.7, or is whatever he's on, and
yeah. No, he's cool. The other guy I mentioned to you the other day, Benny, but I sometimes I haven't met all the sailors, before, but Maurice Malk, super nice guy, super nice guy. I thought. I didn't actually know who he was. He was sitting next to me, and I kind of said, "Oh, what's your name?" He said, "Morris." I go, "Oh, yeah, Morris Mouth or whatever." And super, just a really, I don't know. Some people are just nice people, aren't they? They're just a very nice demeanor.
Morris is a super cool guy, and he's also interested in all the stuff you are as well. I mean, Rips. I mean, he's just signed for Simmerstyle. You probably already know that, but like recently, and he is obviously a ripper. But he also does quite a bit of filming. So he does like filming from the water. He's doing some drone stuff, and he just kills it. So, I mean, and he's a super nice dude. So
yeah. And I met Pauline Katz. There was another lady. She's super nice. I'll be honest, I can't remember all some of the names of everyone I've met, but it's a nice thing in the windsurf community. Most people are actually really just down to earth, normal, nice people. You know what I mean? It's not like you're walking around and everyone's got these massive egos and stuff. It's nice. It makes you feel better about the sport, in general. So it's man. No, it's I don't know. It's been an experience. I think I've been very fortunate to come here, and also Andrew. I know Andrew's listening. He's been my host. I mean,
you have scored there. I mean, I did see a little bit. Like Paul sent me a little video, just of like his morning view type thing, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, if you're gonna pick somewhere to stay on your first trip to Maui, it's downhill from now on. Or what's the right word? I don't know, but it's only going spiraling the other way. You're living in the mood right now.
Oh no, it was
Polakow, like staying on the beach. I mean, that's a dream, man. That's good. It's good skill.
Yeah, no, it's incredibly fortunate. Actually, for anyone wondering how that may have come about, I through my YouTube channel, Andrew's an Australian, and reached out to me like I don't know, 12 months ago, 18 months ago, and just oh, Paul, thanks for your videos. I follow it, blah blah. Anyway, chats back and forth over months. And he sort of said, "Oh, if you ever come to Maui, I have a place there, have accommodation." I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic." I got no idea when I'm coming to Maui, but thank you so much for the offer, of course. And then this opportunity came up, less than 2 weeks ago to come here. I reached out to Andrew again and said, "Oh, is that offer still on the table?" And he basically said, "Yeah, sure, come over." And well, he has a beautiful place here, and I mean it's also the best
grass I've ever seen.
What's that?
The grass.
Oh, yeah, beautiful grass. Obviously in Maui, the good rainfall. But no, look, it's super fortunate because again, if you had to, paying for accommodation, I'm not getting paid to do the Aloha. I got paid my plane ticket, which is again super generous. I'm super stoked with that. And Andrew's offering accommodation, and I'm obviously doing the work for free. I got the plane ticket, but you know what I mean? I'm not getting sort of paid on top of that. So, the windsurf community, in this case, Andrew and amongst others, have kind of reached out to sort of give back to help me, which also helps everybody else because I can get the footage and get, you know what I mean? Like it's just that kind of thing.
I didn't realize you weren't getting paid. That's
I know. But the thing is, look, I was at home, because they've got very limited budgets. The budget's as tight as. So, I've gotten a paid ticket basically from Simeon, who's from the IWT, and like again the accommodation. So it was an opportunity that I just basically had to take. Yes, I'm not making money, but the end of the day, it's a relatively cheap trip for the experience I'm getting. And I mean, it's just like,
there's some places which are like, yeah, it's worth, like.
Yeah, I mean, look, I could say no and then never come. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So it's been worth it, and yeah. So look, it's cool. Like, as we all know, money's tight. Unfortunately, they'd love to have budgets where they could just hand out this and that, but it's not quite the case at this point. And I actually really enjoy getting drone footage, especially if it's pros in good conditions. I get a kick out of it.
Is going back to the competition, because it's kicking off tomorrow. Are you the only drone guy, or is there other drone guys?
There is one other. There's one other, and I haven't met him yet. And tomorrow I will need to chat with him and the live stream director to just work out the coordination of what's happening. I mean, I don't know. I've heard. Well, what I was told was he's a good drone operator, but doesn't necessarily get as close to the action as I might be able to get, essentially. So if that's the case, then I hope that they kind of just say, hey, Paul, like you sort of get in amongst the action, because I'm obviously frothing. Like I want to try and get the best shots I can get, kind of thing. I will say, for anyone watching the live stream, I've got to film, say, 4 days of live stream, which are long days. It could be, I don't know, 6-hour days of flying a drone 4 days straight. So I'll probably start by just playing it a little safe, because I've only got one drone, so I can't afford to crash the drone day one and then it's all over. You know what I mean? So I'll probably just sort of play that game of, get the good shots without taking mega risk. And then as we get closer and closer and closer to the final, I'll start getting a bit more risky. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. So yeah, because
I'm looking forward to it. Who do you think is going to win the world title?
Well, look,
two questions. Who's going to win the world title? Who's going to win the Aloha Classic? Let me know in the comments. Paul, what do you think?
The first one that comes into head is just Brazinho. Yeah, like it's home turf. He's third on the leaderboard. Maybe I haven't checked it, to be honest, in the last few days. Oh, sorry, he's first, is he? Oh, okay, damn, I thought he was third. Okay, well, if he's first, yeah, I mean, he's already first, and he's on the home turf, and he's basically one of the best sailor in the world. So I'm going to have to go him. Yeah. Well, yeah. What about yourself?
It's hard to bet against him, isn't it? I mean, there is a lot of other guys that could do it, but I mean, he's, like you say, he's leading coming in. I'm just looking at the draw. Let's have a look at this draw, because I haven't actually looked at it.
I haven't seen the draw yet, so I'm actually super keen to see this, because I've just been running around. Okay, this is cool.
I'm not sure how to make it bigger, but
hey, look, there's my mate Moritz.
Yeah, there we go. Can we click on that? If I click on that, does it?
I've got no idea.
Scared to. How can I make it bigger? Well, anyway, yeah. So it looks like a big draw. So there's 3 rounds. That the third round is seeded. So already in the seeded round, look at that. Already you've got Lenny coming up from underneath, which goes into Brown's draw. So
But can we see the challenger? Can we see the first round though?
That's just having a quick scum through. So for people who are listening audio only, I want to get a bigger thing of this, but let's see.
All right. I can
round
see it.
One, the challenger. I guess that's what it's classed as, is it? The round one. It's like the challenger fleet. So in the first round, I'm just looking through Tom Juban, which is Camille's brother, I'm guessing.
Cool.
We've got Caesar. We've got Casey Hauser in there. Leon Maff. The German has gone over there. Moritz Mauk in that first round. Moritz could be seriously. I mean, I know he's not been to Maui for a while, but the guy's got moves, and especially in that lighter wind, he could do some damage. Be interesting to see how he gets on. So we got a full round on that first one. Again, difficult to see who's going to go through. Oh, there's only 2 heats in that Challenger fleet. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty quick, isn't it?
Yeah, so that won't take long. And then the interesting one really is the second round, which is kind of the first round, because there'll be a couple of guys from those challenger fleets that go into the second round. But the second round is, there's some Maui locals in this second round. So Lenny is obviously a guy that stands out. You're thinking he could cause some problems as a shot at winning it for sure. Arthur Arukin as well, absolute ripper, and he can throw down some stuff. Marlon Maffner, obviously one of the young Germans coming up. He's going to find that tough, but it'll be a great experience, I'm sure. Pretty big first round heat. And then obviously second heat, we've got Levi Siver in that second round. He's definitely in for a shot. I mean, I've seen a video of him sailing the other day. Looks on it. And then a couple of guys that I'm not sure of, I'll be honest. We've got Felix and Vincent. I'm not sure.
No, I can't say I'm familiar with them.
Baptiste Clarec, not his tack. He's better known for his port tack. Obviously, won Fiji.
But Baptiste has a silent P, by the way. Baptiste.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm not.
No, everyone says it.
It's true. I'm the commentator, and I'm terrible. I butcher everything.
But the reason I said it is because I said to Baptiste, "Hey, Baptiste," and he goes, "Well, it's actually, it's Baptiste as well." So I'm P. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, everyone says Baptiste." But anyway, just being
Baptiste.
Yep.
Batista. Well, anyway, Baptiste is in the second round, third heat, and I saw this. Did you see that aerial from him the other day? I think it was it.
That's crazy.
And that kind of goes with it. Port tack jumping, with Maui, the aerial side is your port tack jumping side. So you'll see the good jumpers on port can get the lift bigger than, a low. So, I mean, obviously Kamiju Band's one of them, does massive aerials. I've seen Lenny get huge aerials, but Baptiste definitely get some big stuff in.
Sorry, somebody told me that aerial from Baptiste was probably the biggest aerial they've ever seen at Oakipo.
It looked ridiculous. Like, I saw the picture, I was like, that could be Photoshop. It's so big. Did he land it?
He said he landed in the white water. So I guess I think he
probably a good job.
Yeah, I think he might have landed it, but then, I guess got obliterated after that. I don't know, actually. He just said he landed in the white water, so I didn't actually ask if he sailed away from it, but maybe that meant that he kind of...
Yeah, second round, Graham Ezzy. I mean, Graham, I saw a video from him sailing the other day, and I thought he looked on form. And he is definitely one of the guys that could cause some problems. Really could, be interesting, because I'm sure in his... he's grew up on Maui. He's got all the background. He's got all the skills. If it comes together in a competition, he could be in that final, no doubt about it. You don't hear many people talking about him. So that he could be a really interesting one.
Well, last time I bet against him. I'm definitely not doing it this time.
Didn't you get into
No, it's all good.
That's why you've lost that sponsorship.
Graham Ezzy is obviously a 6'6" sailor, so yeah.
And then Francisco Goya's in there, Octavio. So there's a couple of names that I'm not familiar with, but I haven't been to Maui for a long time, and I obviously haven't been to Chile and all these places where probably some of these guys, are coming from. But correct me if I'm wrong. So that would be the second round. They're sort of standout names. And then obviously we go into the third round, which is all the seeded riders. These are the guys that are in contention for a world title. Obviously, Heat 1 in the third round, Marsilio Brown. In there, Jules Denel is over there. We've got Julien Flechet from France. Second Heat, Antoine Martin, Liam Dunkerbeck. We got Mike Friedel in there as well. Morgan Nero in heat number 3, Takuma Sugi. I saw him doing some back to sail stuff today. Man after my own heart. I love a bit of back to sail.
The Japanese are for anyone who hasn't, been paying attention, the Japanese are some of the best to watch. I love watching the Japanese. They're cool.
They fully go for it, don't they? Rio as well. Like he's, if you've seen any of the Pozo stuff, the guy just goes for it. He's just absolute full sends. He's got no worry about his own personal safety. He just absolutely rips. Philip Costa in heat number 4. We got Takara Ishii. He's going to be one to watch. Alex Vargas coming over from Chile, I guess. Interesting to see. Then Marino Gill. Obviously, he's having an epic year. Pozo. not Maui's not his specialty, but I said this last year. Then I watched the video and I heard people talking about him, and they were like, the guy was improving every minute he was on the water. He was just moving through the gears. And this guy, you know, he's got superb talent. So even though, you know, I would say maybe Maui's not his place to do any damage, when it's 2 waves to count and you've got a few moves under your belt, he could easily do some damage. But that's not an easy heat. Bernd Rodiger, Marino Gill, Hayata Ishii, and they will get the 2nd place round 2, heat 1. Let me have a quick look. Which 2nd place? Yeah, so it could be an Arthur Arukin, Marv Manda, it could be Kai Lenny. You never know.
It's hellish. Imagine winning your challenges and then just getting into a heat with Kai Lenny and Arthur Arukin.
That is exactly what happens. You win the challenger, you are the lowest seeded rider in the draw, so you will go against probably the hardest heat in the next one. So it's like, Jesus. And that's why you need to do comps. You need to work up your seeding to get better, because you just get smashed, or you just got to be on fire and take down some big names. Heat number 6, we've got Mark Paré, which will be, like I say, coming back from injuries. Had a stormer, won the last 2 events in Europe, winning Silt and winning Tenerife, which is pretty crazy. And he looks pretty good. But Maui is kind of when he hurt his foot at the beginning of the season, you know, did it in Maui. So I thought there might be some psychological kind of scarring, let's say. But I spoke to him. He said he was a bit nervous, but he's getting into it now. And when he first got there, it was massive. So he was like, oh, my God, this is not what I was, you know, he was thinking I'd just build up slowly, but he pretty much went in at the deep end. But from what I've seen and when I spoke to him, he's all good. Thomas Traversa, you cannot count that guy out. You know, when you go through it like this, you realize how many good riders there are in this draw and how many different ways this whole draw could go. I'll be really impressed if anyone could pick a top 4 like finalists from this draw. I don't think that is even possible, but prove me wrong. Put it in the comments.
Stacked.
Heat 7. Sorry, I missed Ross Farrow in that last one as well. Obviously, IWT has been doing that for a long time, and he could always anyone could cause an upset in this when it's riding only. Robbie Swift, Camille Juban, Anthony Runes. Swift always solid. Camille, I mean that guy. Every time, you're not count him out. He is always there in competitions. Always does the big moves. Always consistent. Looks good. Could Runes cause an upset? I mean, it's tough. Ask that, but he's definitely going to try his best. And then heat 8 of that 3rd round is Victor Fernando, who's been super consistent all year. Federico Mauricio, who, again, he's been really consistent and a great competitor. Spent a fair bit of time on Maui. And then Adam Varchol, who I've been really impressed with his riding. Spent a bit of time on Maui. Obviously had that infamous crash at Jaws where he absolutely got axed. I think it was something like, oh my God, monster.
Well, but if I can just chime in just quickly for this particular heat, I'm not sure if you know, Federico is nursing a knee injury at the moment. Okay. And he's struggling to get to 100%. So if he gets through that heat, that'll be a minor miracle. But anyway, who knows? That'll be, just watch Federico, because if he gets through with an injured knee, he'll be pretty stoked.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at that, just the overview of it, we could go down into details, but it's just impossible. So many talented windsurfers. It's going to depend on the conditions. It's going to depend on a bit of luck, how those set ways work. It's going to depend on skill. It's going to depend on how much wind there is. You know, the lighter guys over the past years have definitely had the upper hand. In Hoot Keeper, it's definitely been easier to be more mobile. If you've been lighter, you catch a few more waves. You can maybe get a bit more upwind of the bigger guys and you get the pick. So that has definitely played into the lighter riders' hands. If you just look at the results, you'll see that. And that's where Brown has sometimes come a bit unstuck. But obviously, he's won the last 2 world titles, going for the 3rd. But no counting chickens here. Go on.
Sorry, before we get into the women, can I just quickly share this screen? Because that, just to round off the men, bear with me, share screen, just so we can, just so you can just see what's going on in that leaderboard. Just for,
there we go.
Yeah. So, obviously, Marcilio Brown's obviously in the lead, but Victor Fernandez.
Just click on him. Click on his name. Does it open up the thing? Yeah. Yeah, so Brown is counting, obviously second in silk, hasn't won a competition this year, which is interesting, you know. And if you win, there's big points for winning. You get 10,000 points for winning because the way the point system works, you get way more for first, you know, and second. It's not an equal system, so it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't get those points. You get way more for first and a few less for second, and goes down. So if you win an event, it can make a huge difference. So Brown, second in Japan, he's counting that 850. He's counting, obviously, that silk result as well.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, he shouldn't be, but it's kind of almost like a bit of a dark horse of Victor. You know, he's sitting literally, you know, barely 300 points behind.
Yeah, but what result will they? The main thing we need to look at here is what result will they replace?
Yeah,
so
yeah, okay.
It's counting the best 4 results. So what's their 4th result that they're counting? The 4th worst.
Well, Victor's been
third. It's probably that second. So he's counting that second from Tenerife, which is pretty much a 10th by the looks of it, the 5-star.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Similar points. So if he can upgrade if he can finish, well, I guess what's Brasilio counting? What's his 4th worst?
Oh, sorry.
It's Brown's for top one.
Spain.
Yeah, so 9th in Pozo. So, I mean, Brasilio, to up his score, he just needs to finish better than 9th. So it will be probably who beats who, Victor versus Brown, if they get into those top stages. If they're inside the top 10, it's who beats who. But then you've got Marino, who's obviously there as well. What's his 4th? He's counting that 9th as well. So it's a 9th. So yeah, they need to be obviously inside the top 9, and then it will be depending how many points they are in the overall at the moment. And then there's an outside bet, which is definitely an outside bet. Well, actually, what's Morgan? He's on 23 there, but he's probably got a 4th result, which is not good. So he will probably zoom up. Yeah, no, he's okay. Yeah, he's going to need a big one.
Be tricky, yeah.
Again, if let's say he wins it. Let's say he wins the Aloha Classic. If you win the Aloha Classic, you get 10,000 points. So let's say Mark, it's easier to do with Mark because he's only got 3 results on the board there. So he has to count the Aloha Classic. So if he gets 10,000 points, he would move on to 31.630, which would mean Brown and Victor need to gain. This is you know, this is very ifs and buts, but they would need to gain 4,000 points. So they would need to finish with, I think, what's their 4th place? It's like 4,000 they count in. They would need to have 8,000 something points. So they would probably need to finish right up there. Weirdly.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a story and a half, wouldn't it?
Exactly. I mean, but Mark will move the most because at the moment, he's not counting a 4th result. All the other guys have got a 4th result. Whether it's a good one or not, it doesn't really matter.
Well, looks here, 4th place, 6,885 points.
Yes.
So
yeah, but so let's say Brown finished 4th place. He would only gain though because he's already counting 4,790 for that 9th. He would only gain like $1,500.
2,000, yeah, which would bring him to, you know, just under 30,000. Whereas Mark,
if he was, but he'd have to win.
Yeah, well, that's interesting though, isn't it? Because I mean, 4th is still quite a high placing. Yeah. So that's a bit of a story in that. I mean, obviously,
if you finish second, you get what, 8,500. So that would also take you to 30,000. So, you know, for Mark, you know, he's already done what he needed to do. He's come back from injury.
Interesting, actually.
You know, put a solid one on. But if you get that run, if things go your way, it's not all over. I mean, that would be one of the biggest comebacks ever.
Yeah. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to watch, I guess, the top 2 or 3 to see how far, you know, if they exit in a kind of the middle rounds, and all of a sudden that gets interesting.
I mean, also like Bernd Rodiger, obviously he hasn't had all the results counting, but he's capable of, you know,
Yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't. He won't be
I
going to four.
he needed one more result. But, you know, you could imagine him winning here. He'd still finish on 22.6 points, and then putting an average result, he'd be right up there. It's a shame he didn't do, you know, one more competition. But he can cause problems. That's the thing. Camille, wow, yeah.
Camille, it's only been first place.
He can only get 26, basically.
Yeah, no, that's
he only does first places. Look at that, first on the different star events.
It's a shame. He needed another eventer. Yeah,
but if he wins here, 26.5 points is not off the podium, is it? What's it at the moment?
Well.
Yeah, no, you could still make it. You can still make it, because if no one improves their score in theory,
sure.
It's not guaranteed in Maui to improve your score. It's probably one of the hardest ones, unless you're a local. You know, he could do.
But even if, good point actually. Yeah, that's where it throws a spanner in the works, isn't it? It's all about the replacement of your lower score here. You know, it's interesting. Yeah,
this will get way more interesting as we start the competition. You know, when we start the competition, we start to see if anyone's failed. If they haven't, then we can start to get a much better look at how that draw's looking. So just after after we've done that first round, because we could see some early exits. Again, this is probably waves only. You can't count anything happening. You can't count out anything happening. Anything could go down.
We'll move on to the women, shall we?
Yeah.
Just maybe we'll do it this way. We'll quickly look at this first, and then we can go on to the heats.
No, I think it's worth it, because until they start sailing, it is difficult to kind of say who's going to do what. Lena Urbanstein, obviously leading at the moment. I think in the women, it's the best 3 results to count. So she's already counting a first from Chile, which is 10,000 points. The second place in Gran Canaria. And then she could have won it in Silt. She obviously didn't, but if she'd have had a good result in Silt, it would have been all over. But with her finishing 4th, she's left the door open. And Sarah Kita is the one who's got probably the strongest possibility to jump up, because I think she isn't counting the full set of results at the moment. So Lena needs to get inside the top 4 to improve on her score. And then what's Sarah Kita got? Alexia as well, looking very good. Is Alexia over there in Maui? That would be interesting if she is, because she's already got some good results. Like, you know, is she going to get better than 3rd when she's not really sailed Hoop Keeper before? Again, I'm not saying she's not, but you know, you would look at those results. I know, you know, money at the moment in the whole world of windsurfing is not great. You know, to go to Maui costs a lot of money, and you're looking at your results. You're like, you've got a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 2nd. You're like, am I going to get inside the top 3? Am I going to improve my score for how much money I'm going to spend? I'm not sure. I haven't seen if she's there. Again, could be there, but I would say if I'm her, thinking, well, maybe I don't need to go. You know, I've got my results there, but experience, you know, she needs to get experience in Maui. And this is the interesting one. That 4th place at the 4-star event is what Sarah Kita is going to upgrade on. So for Sarah Kita, if she could win in Maui, she'd have 30 points, which would probably give her the world title.
Yeah, it's super cool.
But what go back to Lena, just for example. So 30 points if Sarah Kita was to win, and Lena would. Yeah, I mean, she even if she came 2nd, it wouldn't be enough.
Yeah, what happens? Hold on. So I'm just thinking, if she comes 2nd here, then we've got 27,000 points. Yeah. So.
Well, even if Sarah Kita finished 2nd, she would have 28.5. You know, Maui. It's gonna be a big lot of pressure for Sarah Kita. I mean, if anyone can handle pressure, it's Sarah Kita. But those 2 wins, 10,000 points apiece, is big.
Basically, Lena has to just essentially finish ahead of Sarah Kita. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
exactly.
Cool. Sol, I'm not sure if. Well, I guess we'll see the heat draws. Should we? I mean, obviously the points drop off a bit down here. Should we have a look at the heat draws and just have a?
I mean, there will be riders that haven't done 3 events. So, like maybe Hauser, I don't know how many events she's done. She done? Oh, she has done 3. Okay, because as soon as you've only done 2 events and one more result makes a big difference, and you can jump massive amounts. Especially if, like, let's say Maui's your kind of your home spot. But there will be a few riders looking at Maui and thinking, you know what, for the amount of money it costs, for how much I could move up or potentially move up, it might not be worth it if budget is not there.
Maria Andres has got a possibility to go up the rankings a bit.
Yeah.
Pauline Katz, she was also a really nice person I met. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it can get a bit complicated, can't it? But anyway, we've got a bit of a, obviously.
I mean, we've had a good look at that. You can see what's going to happen. Obviously, action's going to kick off in Maui tonight for us here in Europe, and tomorrow morning for you. I think we can probably leave it there. I mean, we can, like I say, when these heats start to happen, we can start looking into it. I've heard there's the Masters fleet is the biggest growing fleet. I heard the Tyree Wave Classic that happened the other day. The Masters fleet was absolutely massive, and I'm pretty sure that says windsurfers are getting older. We're getting older. There's some young crew coming through, but the old boys are not leaving us. They're all staying around.
The Masters, the Masters, it's sold out. But just to be fair to the women, should we just quickly have a look? I mean, just briefly look at the just the heat draw, because I'm curious on that one actually, Benny, if you don't mind. Have you got it there?
Yeah, 100%. It's just like I said, when I went through the men's, I was kind of saying it in my head, thinking, it's so difficult to even start picking out heats that could be hard, could be. I mean,
yeah. No, but I'm just curious also because I'm flying the drone tomorrow. I'm just curious what the draw is. Have you got it? So,
okay, sorry, I see what you mean. You're not on that page. Yes. So there's one challenger round in the women. We've got there's some new names for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, until we see some of these girls in action, for me personally, I'm not up on all of the names. But Shauna Kroppers is in there. Obviously, no Shauna from back in the day, but Julia Myers in there. She seems to get a few of these spots, and should do.
Okay, cool.
So it's some funky names in there. Then the heat round 2, which is the seeded rounds for the women. So there isn't a third seeded round, but Lena Erpenstein in there, Coco for Vo, Maria Andras. And when you look at rounds like that, Lena is leading the world title race at the moment. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that she doesn't make it out of that round. Just not that, she's obviously a super sailor. She could easily kill it in that heat. But you've got 2 riders there who are capable of throwing down some big scores. Plus, you've got someone coming through from the who keeper is super difficult when you just do riding only. Riding only can cause upsets, and I love it. I actually like it. The heat 2, Sarah Hauser's in there. Obviously, she's going to be one to watch. We got Pauline Katz in there. She broke a leg at the competition last year. Came to Maui, I think, for the first time last year and broke a leg, which was kind of crazy. So she'll be definitely have mixed feelings. I'm not sure how hard she's charging at the moment. I'm sure she's built herself up because psychologically, as I said before, with Paré and anyone who's been injured at a certain spot, it does kind of sit there. I've also got Maureen Hunter. She likes riding only. And then in that third heat, we've got Sarah Keita offering Maria Berings and Lisa Vermeister. So there's, again, anything can happen in these heats. It's hard to bet against Sarah Keita winning a world title here, but, and there's a big but, riding only, we saw Berings, I think she took down Sarah Keita, or was it Hunter that took down Sarah Keita in silk with riding only? Obviously, it's the opposite direction. It's port tack when Berings has sailed good before, and obviously Maui is starboard tack, so that does have a little bit of a say on it. I know Sarah Keita absolutely rips on the starboard tack as well. She's obviously won the Aloha Classic before, so that will definitely be counting for her.
Cool. Well, that was good. I actually learned something because I've been so busy. I haven't even had a chance to see these heat draws. So it's cool. Thanks,
well, I'm looking forward to it. I got to say, I am definitely looking forward to it. I'm ready to see the Aloha Classic. I'm going to be sitting at home watching from a fan's perspective. It's going to be probably through the night. So we'll have to see. Maybe I'll do some recaps, but I won't expect you to be joining me because I bet you're going to be absolutely knackered after droning all day. But we'll see. We might try and get some insights from the guys over there, and we'll just try and cover it for the guys who can't watch it. We'll see how this week goes, how the conditions pan out, and if that world title race starts to heat up in the men or the women. We'll be definitely bringing you that news.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, cool. And as Ben said before, if you have the interest, subscribe to Paul Van Bellen channel, because I am attempting to, I have been putting videos of my experience here, which may be of interest to any of you who have either been here or not. And yesterday I went to visit Hot Sales, and I really know very little about the brand, but I came away with a whole new perspective on that brand and the people behind it, which is, it's super cool. It really helps you build a whole appreciation for the sport of windsurfing and the people behind it. And today, if you just joined in before, I was able to interview Jason Polakow, which was just an absolute dream of mine to be able to do that. And later on, I hung out with Graham Ezzy too. So anyway, a few videos coming up there. You can join in. I'll keep sort of pumping them out as I can. The next few days, I'm going to be just probably busy, but anyway,
all right,
that's
good
it.
Luck. Enjoy the competition. I will be tuning in, so you better be flying well, otherwise there'll be trouble. No,
the expectations there.
Yeah. You put yourself out there now. Usually, you don't know who the drone guy is. You're like, this guy's doing whatever. But now, feel the pressure.
I hope I don't crash it. No, good. All right, thanks, guys. See you next time.
Goodbye.
That time of the week again. Sit back, relax, we got the brain of band. No need to stress in the house, is Van Bellen. The game is windsurfing, you can't yell them or tell them. We get the news, the views, the wind biz. The brand's gear tips plus the world's best quiz. Cars PWA, we're professionals without the pay. There's nothing in pole dancing that we won't chat. From tandem boards to a windsurfing cat. It's your one-stop shop for a laugh and listen. Tune in each week or you'll be doing the missing.